Good morning, everyone, and thank you again for being here and engaging with Precinct 2 and your interest and excitement about understanding Precinct 2's opportunities. We're going to go ahead and get started. I'm Julie Irvin Hartman, co-founder of B2G Victory. Joining us is Susan Repka, also co-founder of B2G Victory, and Jose Medrano, who is the Budget Purchasing and Technology Director with Harris County Precinct 2. And what we're all here today and all here to talk about is opportunities. Susan and I are super passionate about opportunities in government contracting. Precinct 2 really is passionate and dedicated to helping businesses grow through opportunities within Harris County and specifically Precinct 2. But what we really like about the word opportunity are three specific letters that are YOU. And that's each and every one of you taking the time out of your busy schedule today to invest in yourself, invest in Harris County, invest in Precinct 2, and invest in your business. So Susan and I are going to tag team throughout the seminar. When one of us is talking, the other one will be monitoring the chat and the questions and answers. And we're going to go ahead and do our first switch and peel off. But before we do that, we wanted to have Jose Medrano, who's Budget Purchasing and Technology Director with Precinct 2, do a warm welcome to each and every one of you.
Yeah, hi, thank you. Thank you so much, Julie and Susan. Thank you for putting this together. We wanted to welcome everyone that's watching. Commissioner Garcia is adamant about helping small businesses understand how to do business with government in general. But, this specifically, we want to be able to help. Precinct 2 wants to help you guys learn how to do business with Harris County. Today, we have Ann Tyson, who is our purchasing manager, and she can wave hi. I wanted to introduce you guys to her. And then Francis Gomez, who is your vendor outreach specialist. So they're both willing and able and happy to help you with anything that you have any questions about how to do business with the precinct, specifically Precinct 2. And we wanted to thank Susan and Julie for putting this together. We're going to ask them to really just go ahead and get into it all and explain how this all works. And we'll be here to answer any questions afterwards. We also welcome you guys to visit our website. There is a page there where you can sign up for a Meet the Buyer meeting. Francis runs those, and we'll answer a lot of the questions that you might have, give you an introduction on how to register as a vendor and what the process is like as well. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Jose and Ann and Francis. Ann, did you say something? Or no? So thanks, and Emily's going to drop the link to schedule your Meet the Buyer session, and that's the second Friday of every month. And there will also be a document with all of the links that we're putting in the chat for you to have after this session. And these sessions that they've got, these Meet the Buyer sessions on the second Friday of every month, they're going to go over all of the in granular detail of the different county departments and how the different departments work together and the specific opportunities within each department. And this is a great opportunity for you to ask questions and get one-on-one insight into Precinct 2. So today, with our 90 minutes, we're going to talk about how to grow through opportunities with Precinct 2 and really talk about the foundation to ensure your success, because there's a couple different platforms out there. And what we want to do and make sure that when you leave today, that you feel confident that you can be successful in this space, that you're not overwhelmed, that you're not frustrated, and how all of the different platforms and systems work together to level the playing field and ultimately help you secure not only one contract, but multiple contracts with Precinct 2, with Harris County and other government entities. And Susan and I have been in this space for over 20 years. So we've made a ton of mistakes. So we want to make sure that you don't make those same mistakes that could cost you the contract, and show you tips and shortcuts in order to navigate those opportunities. So because of the time, we've only got an hour and a half together. We can't cover everything that you need to know. But that's why we're doing these sessions the third Thursday of every month, so we can continue your education and make sure that what you put in the surveys for this month, we can cover and make sure that there aren't any open questions, that we are setting you up for success. And then obviously this isn't a guarantee for a government, for a contract with a government agency. We want you to be successful. What to expect from us? We want to deliver the absolute best webinar experience. And that's one of the reasons why Susan and I toggle back and forth, and we've got Emily there to support as well. There's going to be a questions and answers after each session. We've built in time for your questions. We want you to be engaged. We want you to be able to take the information that we're providing you and either start implementing it, maybe even later this afternoon, later this week, or by Monday, right? But then there's going to be some things that are going to need a little bit longer lead time. So we'll talk about what your victory plan looks like and things to implement next month, next quarter, or maybe even next year. So your victory plan sets you up for success. So that's what you can expect from us. What can we expect from you? We ask you to listen and participate and engage. We want you to test drive these ideas. We want you to come back next month on the third Thursday and say, you know what, I did this and these were my results. We want you to provide feedback in the survey. Like I said, these are going to be continuing every single month. So let us know where your needs are, where your pain points are, what your challenges are, and we can help together share and celebrate in each other's success. So let's get ready to engage. So we've got the question and answer feature with Zoom, and we want you to put your questions in the Q&A box right there. Also, with the chat, go ahead and put your contact information in there and watch for useful links in the chat as well. So what does the victory plan look like after today, right? So you've got your commitment for today, but how do we move forward together? So start thinking about, as we go through each section, what are some takeaways from that section that you might be able to implement next week, next quarter, or even next year, right? Because the strategic implementation of these ideas are going to set you up for success. So we're honored and touched that Precinct 2 has asked Susan and I and Emily and the entire team at B2G Victory to be involved with Precinct 2 and help each and every one of you win contracts with them. So why are we qualified? Well, I am a former certified woman business owner. We're working on getting our B2G certifications right now. I had a former business. I actually sold it. And with that business, I took advantage of all of these different opportunities. I went through the interagency mentor protege program. I went through Goldman Sachs, and I continued my learning and education. And I just got my executive MBA. But I'm a certified proposal manager. So I live and breathe in proposals and RFPs and in government contracting for 20 years. Susan actually helped my previous company get certified when she was the director of the Women's Business Enterprise Alliance. And she's been an advocate for not only women-owned businesses, but minority-owned businesses within Houston and throughout the entire state of Texas. And she's like a double threat because she knows certification and proposals. So she can help navigate and understand the differences and why you need certain certifications and how to maximize them. And because of all of her efforts advocating for small and minority-owned businesses and women-owned businesses, she's received many, many accolades and awards. And joining us as well is Emily Kelly, who's the project manager. And so Emily today is going to help us monitor the chat and the questions and answers. And she's all of the heavy lifting behind the scenes that gets us to the webinar today in order to make sure that it's successful. And Emily, Susan, and I worked all together when she was at the WBEA, and she's got 12 years of project management and planning. She's got nonprofit experience, economic development experience, startup and fundraising. So together with us and Mark Craig, who's recently joined us, he's a business advisor for the Urban League as well as the MBDA. So all of us collectively are the team of B2G Victory. Emily's going to drop all of our contact information in the chat. We want you to continue to connect with us. We want you to engage with us in social media. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have over 55 videos from previous seminars. We have the seminar from last month with Precinct 2 posted there. We've got short little clips of 1 to 2 minutes defining different words and vocabularies, and lots of other great videos there. We're going to be posting videos every week. So please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and connect with us on social media. So today we've got our content broken down into 4 different sections. We're going to talk about bidding. What does that mean and what does that look like? And what are the platforms for which you need to go to find out about bids? And these opportunities, what is the difference between a formal and an informal opportunity? And guess what? Checks cash the same way, right? And how do you start working with government agencies? We're going to talk about the staff directory, and Jose alluded to the team that he has that are dedicated and passionate to make sure that your business is successful in government contracting. And then we want to make sure that we go over these different questions and get you ready for when you do have that interview, the Meet the Buyer interview on that Friday with Precinct 2. So like Jose alluded to, Commissioner Garcia is committed to supporting local businesses. In 2020, Precinct 2 paid over $23 million to minority women, small, disabled business enterprise vendors. That's $23 million in 1 year. So you talk about somebody who when they say they're committed, they're doing it. They're you know, as my favorite uncle would say, they're putting their money where their mouth is. Absolutely. And then just recently in July of 2022, Commissioner Garcia was named one of the top 10 Texas local officials by Rising Lone Stars. So he's amazing. Everything that Precinct 2 is doing to inspire a greater sense of community is truly inspiring, and we want y'all to be a part of that. So that's your first step, is being on the call today. A few things about Precinct 2: 1,300 miles of road. That's 560 square miles, and you can see there on the graphic, Precinct 2 is huge, absolutely huge. So it's 13 community centers, 15 municipalities, 12 school districts. So Houston has 22 school districts, the greater Houston metro area. 12 of them are in Precinct 2. So if you're interested in doing business with K through 12 schools, Precinct 2's got 12 districts for you, 10 libraries, 53 parks, 27 miles of trails, and 5 courthouse annexes. So tons and tons of opportunities in all sorts of different spaces, all sorts of different industries within Precinct 2 to help you and your business be successful. Here's the team. There's Tico, there's Jose, Jeremy, and as well as Francis. So now you've got faces with email addresses of the people who will help you out here. Harris County has a variety of different procurement services. So you've got Harris County as a whole, the toll road, the flood control district, as well as, you know, Harris Health System. So these might be some other entities that you might be interested in working with or have been familiar with. So we've made things easy for you. The links for today's session are posted on our website for post session, as well as the links from last month's session, as well as other sessions. And the recording of today's session will be posted on our YouTube channel. And so once that's posted, we'll send you out an email to let you know. All righty, so Precinct 2, we're going to turn over. This section is Susan's section.
All right, our first kind of switch over. So let's talk about some of the information that Precinct 2 provides everyone. Like, this is one of their newsletters from last year with some information on everything that they do and sort of their procurement. We're going to kind of break it down because it's kind of hard to see on the slide. So let's talk about Harris County purchasing. This is their mission statement. So, you know, they go above and beyond just looking for goods and services. They're the planning, you know, trying to get more small businesses to participate. So they're dedicated to growing that community of small businesses. So with Harris County, there is both a formal and an informal process. So Julie kind of mentioned that a while ago, that checks cash the same way. So you can go in, and as long as the opportunity is under $50,000, there's no formal process. You might even get a call. You've had that, built that relationship. So you get a call, we need these goods and services. Anything over $50,000 has to go through a formal process. And this is to ensure that the county, precinct 2, is using the funds in the best way, best value. Who's going to provide this best service at the best price? So there are different ways to find out about projects. We're going to go through Bonfire and show you all of the awesome information that Harris County Precinct 2 have available for you to sort of research and look at, not only open bids, but to look at past bids, to look at contracts that are already out there. And if you're in the civil arena, engineering or construction, then of course you're going to want to check CivCast for Harris County opportunities. So one of the things, so like I said, we're going to go into Bonfire. One of the things that I found really interesting is that Harris County says they're set up where you can pull an awarded bid and actually look at the bid tabulation, find out what the pricing was. And we're going to show you some of that. You can review those award letters, and you can go back and, like I said, check the archives. You're really going to go in and find out maybe the bid for your services was awarded last year. We'll get an idea of, when it comes back out again, how you're going to price your pricing. Browse those that have current contracts and when those contracts expire. You can find the purchasing department staff directory. Like, they have their contact information. And let me go back, if there's one statement on there. Always check Bonfire to see if there's a current bid before you call a buyer about the services that you offer. If that bid is open and you call, you have, you're sort of in that cone of silence. That means that you cannot have a discussion with the buyer about that particular service without going through the process listed in the RFP or RFQ. So keep that in mind. Always look first before you approach a buyer about a service that you offer. Of course, the Harris County is looking to do business with minority, women, and small businesses. They accept the City of Houston certification, MBE, WBE, as well as the State of Texas Hub certification. So if you don't have those certifications and you want to do business with Precinct 2, then you need to look at getting those certifications if your company qualifies. We encourage you to follow them on their social media. Precinct 2 has a very active Facebook page. So Emily is going to drop those links to the Facebook page as well as the purchasing opportunity group so that you can follow along and find out what's going on in Precinct 2. They do an amazing job of keeping everybody informed of what things that are going on. So here is a screenshot of their Facebook page. They had a groundbreaking ceremony as well as some of the information that we found on their purchasing opportunity group. Now we're going to take a little bit deeper dive into Bonfire and how you're going to find opportunities and how you can utilize this platform to do the research to prepare your company to bid. So their purchasing department, Emily's going to drop that list in of who to call, and just remember, always check for open opportunities. And here she's going to drop the link of how you're going to get to Bonfire. You do not have to be registered in Bonfire to find opportunities. You can see those opportunities. You do have to be registered in Bonfire to bid on those opportunities. So Harris County and Precinct 2 are not the only ones that are utilizing this platform. So this is something that you're probably going to, you probably are already familiar with. You've probably seen Bonfire. Maybe you registered at HCC. So, but Harris County has their setup a little bit different. So we're going to kind of go through some of that. If you're not registered, we're going to do a really quick overview of how to get registered. All right, so you're going to go to the Bonfire. Click on that Bonfire and you're going to register your company. Now, here's a tip for you. If you've ever registered in Bonfire before for another entity, you're going to use that same username and password. It should be on your magic password sheet that you track everything on. Because if you reset it, it resets all of your Bonfire listing. They have a single sign-on. It's also going to pull up your information to make it go a little bit faster for you. So we did find out that the hard way when we were registering a client on different Bonfire platforms. So always use the same username and password. All right, so here we're going to have just additional information, just your contact information. It's really easy. Then we're going to pull up, just follow the sort of the bouncing ball. Submit all the information. You're going to hit the submit button. You're going to get an email, and that's going to allow you to get to this page where you're actually going to finish out your username and password, as well as all of the information that they're requesting. Fill in all of this. If you are certified, you need to click down and to let them know what certifications that you currently have. And just keep in mind, on the next screen, you will be asked to upload that certification. If you're not certified, don't worry, you still can be registered in Bonfire. You are not required to be certified to do business with Precinct 2. Here, upload your W-9. Can't get paid without that, as well as any certifications. Here is your NIGP codes. Now, that magic spreadsheet that we talked about, those should be listed on there so that you know those very quickly. You're not having to go back and kind of figure out what are your NIGP codes. Everyone should know their codes. This is how government entities purchase things. So type in your NIGP code, that information will populate. And again, if you've already registered on Bonfire, it'll be right there for you. All right, we got all of our information. We are now ready to take a look around and see what's listed. You have your open opportunities, past opportunities, your opportunities, which are ones that you have already started the process of completing, as well as your public contracts. So let's start with open opportunities. Click on any of those bids, those open opportunities, and it's going to pull up the schedule of events. When did it open? When does it close? Is there a pre-bid? All of that information is there in a snapshot. If this is one you're interested in, you're going to go on ahead and put all of that information on your calendar so that you are make sure that you're at that pre-bid, that you make sure that you have submitted it on time. All right, so you scroll down a little bit further, it's going to tell you the services that they're asking for. And this is where you're going to start opening and downloading the documents that you're going to need to respond. So create a folder on your desk or on your phone in your files that has this particular opportunity and place all of these files in it. You're going to need to fill some of these out. You're going to need to sign some of these. And some of this is just instructions for you, but this is all of the information you need to complete your response. All right, so when you scroll down a little bit further and it has a submission button, this is where you're going to start filling in the information. Sometimes there's questions that you'll have to answer, and sometimes you'll just be uploading documents that you've completed. But this is where you're going to go. And then when you click that button, that's going to put this opportunity into your opportunity. So you can find it quickly so that it doesn't, as they add new opportunities, yours might kind of go down to the bottom. This is going to keep it where you can find it. One of the advantages of using Bonfire is that you can upload your documents as you complete them. Go ahead and get your forms done. Upload them. They're already there. You don't have to worry about that last minute rush and putting it together. Finish a section, upload it. All right. And so, this is where you're going to upload your documents. This is the information they're requesting, you upload it. You can tell if it's been uploaded, so you know it's been completed. Great way to kind of track your process. Now let's look at past opportunities. Hey, like, well, why do I care what they've already purchased? Well, this tells you some great information when it was purchased. So you kind of have an idea of when that product or service may be purchased again, and some other great information. So you click on the one that's been awarded and open that up. It's going to tell you when it was awarded. It's going to give that same kind of calendar of events, all of the information about that particular RFP or RFQ. So then as you scroll down, you have some additional information, some communications, find out who won the bid, their award letter, when it went to Commissioner's Court. Again, you're looking to say, hey, you know what? That's been a year ago. Wonder when that contract is over. And then look at this, pricing. Now, there are a couple of different things that this tells you. It tells you how to set your pricing, but it also says, are you able to do a project this large? Or maybe is this going to be something that your company is willing to have their pricing at that, either at that level, at that high or that low, kind of give you some idea of where you need to be when you put your bid in for a similar project. Also, who's playing in your sandbox? Who is your competitors? Who is actually putting bids in that are the service or the product that you offer? So here we have a list of public contracts. So you can go through and see when these contracts expire. Well, this construction contract expires. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and get my company ready to bid on this. So this is great information. Also, as you're going through, you're going to see buyer information. So pulling up some of those past bids, it'll tell you who the buyer was for that. Some of the current ones. And one of the things that we always encourage committees, if you've never submitted a bid for Harris County, attend one of the pre-bids. Find out the conversation, find out what they're talking about at those pre-bids. Last month, we talked about capability statements. Well, that's a good opportunity to pass out that capability statement, to have a conversation with that buyer. So maybe it's not your exact service, but maybe it's something similar that that buyer would be buying and you get a little bit of face-to-face time with them. All right, so there is listed on Harris County Purchasing, there is BuySpeed. So you can go ahead and sign up for that. There are other entities, again, that use BuySpeed. And what I found when I went to visit their BuySpeed is there's a lot of historical information there. That was their platform of choice before Bonfire. And again, if you are in the civil industry, construction or engineering, you're going to want to take advantage of your CivCast, where it has all of the civil projects listed. All right, do we have any questions? Any questions in the Q&A yet?
Got a few.
Got a few? All right. Thank y'all for participating and being engaged. All right. So am I still on?
Yes.
Like, oh, where would everybody? All right. So the Harris County Precinct 2 website. I encourage you to visit, get familiar with it. They have a project directory of current and upcoming projects that impact Precinct 2, roadway, parks projects, all of these different projects. So you can also see the ones that are in the future. I found one that it starts construction in 2024. Start planning ahead. Get to know what's going on, projects that you may want to bid on. From those that live in Precinct 2 may want to know what street projects are coming up that impacts their commute and their neighborhood. So here's all of a kind of a list of some of the projects for street and traffic. And you can just slide, you see all of these. Some of these are current, some of these are future. If you see one that is in your neighborhood, click on it and see when it's going to be under construction. You can open them up. You find out some additional information, that start, that end date. And again, letting you know future projects in order to start planning ahead. All right, just remember, drop your questions in the Q&A. We will supply the video. It will go up next week and you'll be notified at that time. And we're going to go ahead and do a switch.
Thanks so much, Susan, and thanks everyone for your questions in the chat and your engagement. We'll keep going. If anybody wants to unmute and has a specific question that they'd like to ask, we can go ahead and do that now, if you'd like. So responding to opportunities, Susan talked about that you can go to Bonfire, you can go to CivCast, and these different platforms to go find out about opportunities. And she also referenced kind of what she calls her magic spreadsheet, which is a central repository that we encourage everyone to do and put everything that you're going to need for all of these different opportunities, whether it's formal, informal, or your capability statement. There is going to be information that you're going to need about your company. And as well as once you start responding to opportunities. So your first one, just like anything, is going to be a little bit of a heavy lift. Your second one, a little bit less. But once you start, you're going to start developing all of this information for all of these different opportunities. And you want to be as organized as possible, because that's going to help you win more opportunities. That's also going to help you respond faster to those opportunities. So we want to touch on a few of the items that you're going to need to put either in this magic spreadsheet or on a Google Drive or on a OneDrive or in a central place. Because once again, as you scale and you build your capacity, you're going to need help. Or if you want to go ahead and just get help from the beginning, the better that things are organized, the easier it is for more people to help out and get you to where you need and want to be. So a few things that are required for bids / proposals / opportunities. If you're in the construction space and you're going to be a prime contractor, you're going to need a bid check or a bid bond. And this depends on the amount of the opportunity. It also, like I said, depends on what your role is. So an individual bid bond or a cashier's check for 5% of the total contract price. So if the opportunity is $1 million opportunity, when you go and submit your bid, you're going to need to have a bid bond or a cashier's check for $50,000. All righty. So that's a bid bond. And now not every bid requires a bid bond. All right. I just want to make sure to state that a performance bond is very different than a bid bond. So this is if you're awarded, you must provide a bond in the full amount of the contract award, right? So that's a cost that you need to make sure that you know before you're putting together your pricing. And if you need information on a bonding company or a surety company, let us know and we can connect you. And all of these things, this bid bond, the performance bond, your insurance, as well as the Mavis-Bacon Prevailing Wage Act, all help mitigate risk. And when I talk in terms of mitigating risk, I'm talking in terms of mitigating risk for the entity. For example, Precinct 2, it helps protect them, but also it helps protect you as a small business. So if there are any problems, complications, and you're being proactive to mitigate risk, things happen. We all know that we're entrepreneurs, but when you go through these and you have these tools in place, it's going to help mitigate risk. Also, that is Precinct 2's way of knowing that you're ready to do government work. For example, I'll take a little bit of a deeper dive into insurance. So insurance, you're going to need to have workers' compensation. And the amount of requirements for insurance depends on the size of the project, right? And so when you do the research that Susan showed you how to do on Bonfire, you can go and pull previous opportunities and see the types of insurance levels that they were requiring, the types of bid bonds or performance bonds that they were requiring. So now when you have your meeting with the buyers on that Friday, you're ready, you're prepared, and you're ready to get to work with Precinct 2. So types of insurance that you're going to be required is workers' comp, commercial liability, auto liability. We're also seeing errors and omissions insurance, depending on typically if you're doing professional services, maybe you're doing bookkeeping, maybe you're doing engineering, architecture, those types of things. You're going to need professional liability, or what's commonly called as errors and omissions. We're also seeing an increase for the requirement of cyber liability, because there is the exchange of files. You're going to be having government files possibly on your server. You're going to be sending files to a government agency. So everybody wants to make sure that they're protecting themselves from cyber threats. And then also the Davis-Bacon. And so that's prevailing wages. So that makes sure that you are paying people a fair and reasonable wage for the different types of services that are being provided. And we can give you additional detail. And the Prevailing Wage Act breaks it down to the specific job duties and responsibilities and the minimum amount that you need to pay to an employee. A few more requirements for bids and proposals. You need to be registered with the System for Award Management. And so that's SAM. So that's www.sam.gov. And that's the federal government's website, right? So Susan went over Bonfire, she went over CivCast. Those are local databases and registrations for entities. SAM is for the federal government. And the reason why you need to be registered in SAM is because federal dollars flow down all the way to the local level. And guess what? There's a whole lot more federal dollars coming down the pipe for the Infrastructure Act. So make sure that you put in your victory plan. Maybe it's not this week, right? Because today's Thursday, then Friday. It might be next week or it might be next quarter, but make sure that you are indeed registered on Bonfire, that you are indeed registered in SAM. So when the infrastructure dollars come down, then you're already ahead, right? You're prepared. Now, being prepared, I assure you, will get you 2 steps ahead of the competition. All right, a few more things to talk about in regards to requirements of bids and proposals. The Secretary of State, you need to be registered in order to conduct business with Precinct 2 with Harris County. So if you don't know if you're registered with the Secretary of State, then add that to your victory plan list, right? Licenses and certifications. If you are an engineer, then you need to have your PE license. If there are other specific licenses, registrations, or certifications, you need to make sure that you provide those. For example, if you're doing HVAC work or plumbing, those types of fees. Certifications and licenses. Fees and taxes. You have to be current on all state and local taxes, including Harris County court judgments, tickets, toll fees, and fines. So make sure that your house is in order, and all of these things, all of these requirements are done and taken care of, and you're doing your research. So when that opportunity comes and it's ready for you, and it is the opportunity that you have the capability and capacity to perform that will truly change the trajectory of your company, you're not scrambling and you're ready to do business with Precinct 2. So those types of requirements are required for whether it's a formal or an informal opportunity. And Susan touched on that. So purchases $50,000 or less, those are considered informal. So Precinct 2 can contact you directly for a bid and issue a purchase order. So that's why it's so important to do this legwork and be registered and have that relationship, right? Schedule that meet the buyer session. So when Precinct 2 or any precinct within Harris County has an opportunity, you've got that relationship, you're already registered, they can get a bid or a quote from you and some other people, and then you can move forward. You can do business immediately, but it is so critical to get prepared and do the legwork before you schedule your buyer meeting and before you do work. You've got to be ready in this space. So there was a question in the chat about, well, I live in Precinct 4. Can I still do work in Precinct 2? Absolutely. And you can do work throughout the entire Harris County. And so recently, the Harris County Department Economic Equity and Opportunity was established. And what that department does is their sole responsibility has an annual aspirational goal of 30% of total spending for minority and women business enterprise to participate in county contracts. So that's 30% of every single tax dollar that is spent. That's really, really exciting. That's a ton of opportunities just here within our own neighborhoods and within our own communities within Harris County. That's not even the state of Texas. That's not even federal. And in September, we're going to have a representative from Harris County Department of Economic Equity and Opportunity talk a little bit more about their program and go into some greater detail for the county overall. So certifications that Harris County accepts, right? Because you've got to have one of these certifications in order to count towards those goals. So once again, that doesn't guarantee you a government contract, but that sure puts you 2 or 3 steps ahead of anybody else. So the Texas Unified Certification Program, they accept, and you've got to be a DBE as a part of that. City of Houston's MBE or WBE, they accept. The state of Texas Hub, or a federal certification, which is an AA certification. So if you have any questions about any of these certifications, go ahead and drop an email to hello at B2G Victory, and Emily and Susan can help you out with navigating these specific certifications that Harris County accepts, as well as how you can maximize these certifications, not only with Precinct 2, not only with Harris County, but with other state and federal agencies as well. All right, so if you've got some questions, make sure to drop them in the chat. I hear Susan's fingers just feverishly going super busy over there. So this contracting world, it doesn't have to be a stressful experience, but it can be if you're not prepared. And so it might make you want to pull your hair out. And most importantly, we don't want you to do that. We're here, Precinct 2's team is here to help you every single step of the way. So when you're on Bonfire, when you're on CivCast, and you're looking for these opportunities, and you see some of these words, what do they mean, right? How do I understand these, and how do I help navigate this entire world? So we're going to go over 3 types of opportunities that you'll see when you're doing your research. And the first one is an RFQ. And an RFQ means a request for qualifications. And government agencies love acronyms. So a request for qualifications is an RFQ. So this is the agency's way of saying, I need this done, whatever this is. Are you able to build it, design it, deliver it, or provide it, right? So they might have a request for qualifications for architectural services, a request for qualifications for landscape services, request for qualifications for office supplies, right? Because remember, the government is the largest purchaser of goods and services, and they buy everything. So an RFQ is fairly easy to prepare. There's not going to be price anywhere. And back to, I need this done. Are you able to do it, right? So I'm looking at your qualifications. So you don't have to worry about price at this point. What does your past performance look like? Do you have any references? And it's super important in an RFQ that you make sure that you fill out every single form and every single attachment. And one of those attachments and one of those forms is going to be probably one of your certifications. So if you go back and make sure that you have one of those certifications that Harris County accepts. Alrighty, so you want to stress with the qualifications, your capacity and your capabilities. And don't stress out if you've never done government work before. How does what you've done, either in the commercial sector, the private sector, the industrial sector, residential or whatever, how does that translate? We've had quite a few companies transition from the corporate world into government, or even from residential into doing work in government spaces. For example, if you're a painter and you want to transition from painting in office buildings to painting for precinct 2, you can definitely, those skills and everything that you've done translates exactly over. So when you're talking about your past performance, just make sure that it's relevant, and it doesn't always have to be specifically government. And if it does specifically need to be government, the RFQ will state that. All right, an invitation to bid. This is the tool or the mechanism, the procurement tool, to say, I need this done. What are you going to charge me? Right. And we specifically underline the word bid because it has to do with price. Right. So these are very price-based responses. Right. They're going to look at other things and make sure that there's best value, but price is going to drive it. Right. So, you know, that might be, I want to buy a lot of 100,000 paper towels, for example, or I need, 500 petunias or whatever, right? You see typically commodities in here, these types of things, right? So once again, references are important. So when you go and you're starting to build your library, you're going to want to have your references. You're going to want to have your references on your capability statement. You're going to want to have references quickly accessible to be able to put in your invitation to bid in your RFQ as well. But it's also important to understand the agency. Why are they buying so many of whatever that is? And is there any added value that you can provide in addition to your price? You want to make sure that you fill out all of your attachments and exhibits as well. All right, the RFP. And this is the acronym that you hear a lot in this space, and people tend to use RFP interchangeably, but it's actually not the right letters to use interchangeably. So a request for a proposal. This is the procurement mechanism to say, I have this problem, right? Or I have this challenge, or I have this project. What is the best solution? How much is it going to cost me? And can you do it? So that is the amalgamation of an RFQ and an IFB plus a few other things. So when you're responding to an RFP, or you're part of a team that's responding to an RFP, you want to make sure that you talk about the benefits, right? And how are you going to reduce the client's risk the most? So an RFP is going to take a whole lot more planning and effort to prepare. It's an extremely competitive process. Sometimes you might have a team, or sometimes you might submit it solo, but there's a very, very structured outline that you need to follow. And it is so critical that you follow that outline, that you don't get creative. Because back to that opportunity that we talked about when we first started our session together, as a small business, if you're able to follow instructions, you're able to get, once again, 2 steps ahead of the game. And it also levels that playing field, right? Because everybody is starting from the same spot. Everybody's got to make sure that everything is in the specific order it's asked for. Everybody is asked for the specific type of criteria, the scoring criteria. So everybody's going to be measured against that same stick. So you've got to also make sure that you understand the agency, and you've got to be able to articulate what differentiates you from the competition and how you're going to perform the services outlined in the statement of work. And we're going to show you some statements of work in some subsequent slides. So how do you win, right? Because that's what we're here. That's what we're all about, is to win. Well, all 3 of these different types, the same factors to win. And we've already touched on some of these. You need to have that relationship, and that relationship starts on that Friday with your Meet the Buyer meeting with Precinct 2. But you want to start that relationship off on the right foot. So you need to make sure that you're registered in Bonfire. You need to make sure that you have a capability statement. You need to make sure that you're prepared. Your reputation, your experience, what is your solution? Are you competitive? Are you timely and compliant? How well can you follow instructions? So when you find these opportunities, whether you're researching historic opportunities or you have found that perfect opportunity for you and your company, or maybe we saw everybody exchange their contact information. Maybe from today, somebody needs you to be a subcontractor on their RFP, right? On their response. So make sure that you request the full documentation. Make time in your schedule to read everything. It could be 10 pages, it could be 100 plus pages, but you want to make sure that there are no interruptions and that this is focused reading. We typically use highlighters, and this is active reading. Maybe you're a person and you want to do it on your computer. I suggest highlighting in green things that will affect your price. And even if you're doing an RFQ, things that might eventually, once you do get to the pricing stage, would impact it. Maybe you only have $1 million worth of general liability coverage, and they're going to request $2 million upon award. All right. So that means I'm going to highlight the insurance requirements. I'm going to call my insurance agent and say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Insurance Agent, what is the price difference between $1 million worth of coverage and $2 million? Now, don't change your policy at that time, but make sure that you put that in your pricing. If you have a question, you're going to highlight it in pink, right? Because that is a question that I need to make sure to ask the agency. Once again, going back to why Susan and I love government contracting, because it's transparent and you have the opportunity to ask questions. So make sure you look at your schedule, make sure that you look at the schedule of the RFP, that you have time to ask those questions. If it's only thing that you can do, right? Because you're not going to do this alone. There are resources and people that want to help and support you, but there are times that only you can do those things. So highlight that in yellow. Alrighty. So once again, this is active reading, and maybe, you've got a playlist. The only time I ever listen to techno music is when I'm doing a proposal, because those extra beats per minute, once I'm in page 20 or maybe even sometimes page 80, I need that little extra oomph. But in summary, the factors to win are all the same. So you've got to have that relationship, that reputation, that solution, and you've got to be compliant, right? All righty. So questions in the chat. I see questions that are going. All righty. This is the last part in my section, talking about the scope of services, roles, and responsibilities. So where do you go to look to see if you are qualified to do the work, if you are capable to do the work, and what is that type of work, right? When you're doing your research. So we've got a snip from an actual opportunity that it says project description and scope. So that's where you would go to see the type of work that maybe you can do, or the type of work that you might need to get someone else to do as a subcontractor, but be realistic. What does your crew size look like? If I have a crew of 5, then can I be at 10 sites at the same time? Probably not, right? And so that type of information is going to be detailed in the project description and scope. Here's another example right here of scope of services, that it says the respondent is expected to provide the following services. So right there, and if you don't understand the exact description of the services, well, then that's where the question and answer period comes in, and you're able to ask questions and get clarification. Final thing, when you get to that buyer interview, right, that meet the buyer on that Friday with Precinct 2, what does that look like? Well, we wanted to make sure to prepare you for that. Ask them about, right, they're people, right? They're people and they have needs and you offer a solution. So how do we make this all work together, right? Ask them, you know, what do they like about their job? How long have they been with Precinct 2? Ask them about their specific needs and how your product and service can meet that. So go back to the research that you did and reference a past opportunity and say, this is how this service was procured, right? Is this how future services or products are going to be procured? What challenges are you having? Are there any challenges with the type of work that you're doing that they faced? And then make sure that you can articulate how you can assist in overcoming those challenges. And the best way to do that is tell them a success story about a client that you helped. You know, ask them, you know, maybe if it is under current contract, is there a need for a backup vendor? Is there a need for a smaller contract size, right? So go ahead and have those questions ready. And on our website, in the post-session materials, we have how to prepare for your meet the buyer, right? You're going to have your capability statement there. You're going to need to know your NAICS codes and your NIGP codes, because many of us offer multiple products and services that are complementary. So you want to make sure that you're able to articulate that. And you don't want to say, well, what products and services do you need? And they're like, well, what do you provide, right? That's not how you want to start this conversation out. What are the top 3 or 4 things that you and your company does really, really well? And how can Precinct 2 benefit from using you? And then you need to make sure to follow up. All righty, so your victory plan can look something like this. So make sure that you connect with Precinct 2 in Harris County. Schedule your buyer. How many of you go ahead and put in the chat if you've already gone to the website and scheduled your meeting with the buyer, right? Susan touched on certification, and I elaborated a little bit more on those specific certifications that Harris County accepts. So if you're not certified, make sure to put that on your victory plan. Maybe you want to start it next week, maybe you want to start it next quarter, but in order to be a part of that 30% aspirational goal that Harris County has overall, you need to make sure that you have one of those certifications. You need to make sure to get registered on Bonfire. If you have any questions about Bonfire, you know, reach out to Precinct 2, you can reach out to us. And when you're on Bonfire or CivCast, you can research, you know, these historical bids as well as the active bids as well that are out there. Emily's going to put the link to our session survey in the chat. Please make sure to complete the session survey. We'll be giving away a free capability statement for everyone. Excuse me. Woo, Susan's going to kill me. We're going to be giving away one capability statement to everyone who completes the session survey. So you'll go into a drawing if you complete the session survey, and we'll announce who the capability statement winner is. So one person will win, but everybody, please do the survey. We want to know how Precinct 2 can help you be successful in government contracting, the types of content that you're looking for in these monthly webinars, and what else you need from us in order to make that happen. The QR code on the screen right now will be the link to the post session documents. We showed the Meet the Buyer document. So that's going to be up there, as well as Emily goes through and pulls every single link out that we put in the chat. And that's going to be another document that's going to be up there. Also, we're going to put up there the newsletter that Susan referenced all the way back up here. The Inspiring a Greater Sense of Community, that where we went through all of the different, I guess those are little carts up along the bridge and everything. So that's also going to be in the post session download, as well as the link to the recording of this entire session. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to open up the floor and open up your microphones and turn on your cameras for some additional questions that you have specifically for the content that we went over today, or anything else that's kind of popped into your head as we've gone through the content.
Do you want to open up Bonfire and let's take a look?
Yeah, we can do that.
All right.
Susan says, let's go into Bonfire and take a look. Alrighty, let me
find the link?
Yeah, let me get all of that ready and switch the screens out. Alrighty, Jose or Ann, while we're getting ready to go into Bonfire, are there any other comments or questions that y'all would like to discuss or add to?
Well, let's just see what kind of questions everyone has, and then we're happy to answer them.
Okay. Great. Let me find the Bonfire link.
Now you're going to get on Bonfire. Is that what you're going to do now? Or?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
I am finding.
We have a question we can answer while we're navigating over to Bonfire. So Samantha has asked what certifications Harris County accepts. She has a hub zone certification, but she's asking about the certifications accepted by Harris County.
I will get to that slide real quick and we'll pull that up. So yes, so Harris County accepts these certifications, and that is a great question that has sometimes a lot of confusion on the state of Texas hub certification and the SBA federal hub zone certification. So the certifications that are accepted are listed here on the screen. So unfortunately, Harris County does not accept the hub zone certification, but so that's the bad news. But the good news is that all of the information that you needed to compile for the hub zone application, probably 60, maybe even 70% of that content that you needed for that certification, you can use to apply on one of these certifications. So good news, bad news, sort of. And Emily, if you could go ahead and drop the links from slide 75 back in the chat, so she's got those as a quick reference, that would be great. All righty, I am getting to Bonfire. I'm going to ask Susan to walk over here real quick.
Oh, Susan had to go find her password.
Okay, so Susan had to go find her password to Bonfire.
Do you want me to go ahead and just share my screen? I can get on Bonfire, and then you guys can find yours, and you'll take
That'd be great. Great, thanks, Jose.
Share my video, my screen with you guys. Well, I needed you need to disable the you need to allow me to share my screen.
All right.
Jose, you should be able now. Let's see, there you go. You should be ready to go.
All right. So first and foremost, I just want to, I try to share. Ann, can you see, what screen can you see right now? Is it the Bonfire screen, or it says Harris County Purchasing?
Yes.
Okay. All right, guys, I just wanted to show you, just quickly Google Harris County Purchasing. Click on the purchasing site there, and this will take you straight to the county's website. Click on Bonfire Portal, please visit the Harris County Bonfire portal, click there. And then this is where you'll find all of the current procurements that are available. You sign in, I signed in myself, create an account for yourself. It's really easy to do. And here is where you can find to see what's available. So this here, it shows 5 days left on this solicitation. You can view the opportunity by clicking here. Each one shows that it's open, the reference number, the name of the project itself, when it's going to close. And then you can also look for the past public opportunities that have passed by. And this is really important because you can actually go back and see who got awarded what, and you can actually look at the actual bids that they submitted. So that's really important for you to look at whenever you're trying to find out what a winning bid looks like. And we do have what's called the lowest bid type of method. So you want to be able to price yourself. You'd like to know what your competitors are pricing so that you can do your own. So that's where you can come and look and find out what those things are. And you'll see who actually looks at it and so forth. Here's Melissa McCord is the buyer and so forth. And so this is where you can go. Now, I wanted to show you quickly. These are the current bids that are available right now. Let's just look at this hybrid police vehicle opportunity today. It's got 5 days left. Obviously, like Susan and Julie said, you want to be able to get on so you can get an email for it. And then you'll end up getting an advance notice, but you'll also should know in advance about what's coming up so you can do your homework. Here you'll be able to look at the different requirements for the bid and you download it and so forth. But I'm going to hand this over to Susan if you guys are ready, and I'll let you guys get back to it. Or do you want me to continue?
We're good. We've got it up. Right?
Okay, go for it.
Okay, perfect. So we're gonna take it all the way from the top.
All right.
Okay.
Oops. There you go.
Go back on. All right, so I am going to log in. Hold on. So we're going to kind of walk through some of the information. Well, let's start with just looking at the bids, because this is where you're going to go to find everything. And it's kind of scroll all the way through. What are they buying? And hold on, let me go. Let's figure out who I am here. All right. So okay, so Jose was telling you open opportunities. I'm actually going to start all the way at the end to some of these public contracts. So you see this Harris County, this construction trade service. You see who the vendor is. You see that they were awarded the contract on August 1st of this year, and that it expires July 31st. And if you scroll down, you see that same, that same sort of time period. When did it start? When did it end? So you see there's two construction trade services that started August 1st, ended July 1st. So what is that telling you? That is telling you that sometime before July 31st, there's going to be an opportunity to bid on that. And those are most likely sort of IDIQ or job order contracts. So they are under contract for doing construction trade services for Harris County during that year. So that's sort of what gets you thinking, okay, I do construction, I do trades. Maybe this is one that I want to make sure that I'm ready for. So go back and look at the past bid and find out what it is they were asked, they were requested. So what information did they have to turn in to do that bid? All right. We scroll down here to the past opportunities. This is where I just got really excited yesterday. You should have seen me. I was a little kind of like, oh, look at this. And Julie was like, okay. And I'm like, no, but look at with all the information you have. So we see this one that was the sidewalk one that was awarded. Let's see. All right. IT, I can't get my mouse to work.
You want to click on this one?
Oh, view opportunity. That's fine. Okay. View opportunity. It's going to tell you the date it opened, the date it closed. And you scroll down here and it's going to tell you all of sort of the history, when it posted, the pre-bid meeting, the deadline, what NIGP codes were included. And I said, oh, I do construction, I do sidewalks. Maybe I should look at that NIGP code to see if it fits, because it's not on my capability statement. All of the information that was downloadable additional information. So it obviously had to have a bid bond. So, okay, that's information you need to know if you're going to be doing this type of bid. So you're going to have to submit a bid bond. All of the different, so they do have a MWBE utilization plan. Okay, so you may not be certified. So start thinking about who you're going to put on your team that is certified to meet that MWBE goal. Harris County does have you submit your letter of intent for those MWBEs. That way the business that's on your team knows that if you win that contract, that you will actually use them on the project. So, and if you are a small business, those letter of intent can protect you to make sure they're not just using your information. So look at all of the, so we see who it was awarded to. Look at all of the people who downloaded documents. Again, who's playing in your sandbox? Who's doing the same work? Who's interested in doing business with Harris County and that same type of services that you offer? Can you partner with any of these companies? Are they your competitors? Are they potential team members? And if you keep scrolling, that's a lot of people that actually looked at this opportunity and downloaded some documents. And then you see all of the messages, public notices that went out about this opportunity. And if you click here, it actually has the what went to the Harris County Commissioner's Court. Now, if you wanted to download that, it gives you the additional information of the top 2 people that bid on that and what the final outcome was. So that is information that you don't find on everybody's Bonfire. Not everybody goes to that same level of detail for potential suppliers. So take advantage of this. Spend some time on this site and really kind of look at everything. All right, so now what y'all are really interested in. What are some of the current bids out there? Someone was asking about lawn care earlier. So you can scroll through and see if there's any of that, or litter pickup. If there's not, this is a really good time to schedule that meet the buyer, because that's going to tell you, get that additional information that you need. So they do a lot of ITBs, sort of that request to bid, RFPs, Let's just pick a one that's. It gives you that, see those little green and those orange things that tells you how many dates till the bid's due. Yeah, so there's 12 days left on this one. Do you have time in your schedule to bid on it? That's an important question to be asking yourself. Have you already missed the pre-bid if there is one? There was a pre-bid scheduled for August the 12th. So you missed it. It wasn't mandatory, but this is something that you probably should have been at. And then all of the attachments, you literally just go down and you download every one of these documents. And these are some additional information that you're going to have to provide. Here's your pricing form. You go ahead and download that. You know you're going to have a signed letter of intent for all of your MWBE, so start working on your team. All of the people that have downloaded those files, maybe they can be on your team. And then if I go ahead and I say that I am going to prepare my submission, now we can see what the rest of it looks like that we didn't go into. So do I accept this, the requirements and so yes or no question. I start uploading my attachments that I've completed. And again, you can put those up at any time. You don't have to wait till the last minute. How many of you have been scrambling trying to get something done at the last minute and you're rushing across town to deliver your beautiful printed copy and you arrive at 10:01 and it's due at 10? With this, you don't have to worry about that. You just submit your documents as you finish and you just make sure you hit the submit button. So this is what the back end looks like as you're getting ready to submit. I understand that I can't change any of these submission details or document once the project closes. So you have the opportunity to upload your documents. As long as the project's still open, you can go back in and change. Once it closes, whatever information you provided is final. Make sure it's right and correct before you submit it and that you are providing your best pricing. Government entities use taxpayer money. They want to ensure they are getting the best product at the best price, the best service at the best price. All right, so do we have any questions on Bonfire now that you've got sort of the behind the scenes look? Any questions over there?
Yeah, Rosalind says, where can I find an example of a letter of intent? So we actually have an example of a letter of intent, and we will include that in the uploads in the post session. We don't have it currently in our packet, but give us a few days and we'll put that together in there in the post session download. So go ahead and make sure to put on your calendar, maybe next week when we send out the link to the YouTube video. We'll also include the link to the post session, so you can go there and download the updated information. So we'll go ahead and include that in there since you asked for it, Rosalind. Jose and Ann, is there any other things on Bonfire that we need to recap?
Well, there's always a lot, and so I showed them a little bit. I think one of the important things is for you guys to start to register, first of all, so you'll get the email notifications of postings that are available in your industry. And then when you become more advanced, look at the past contracts that have been awarded and then compare, download the bids that everyone submits so you can see what everyone else is offering at what prices. So you can reverse engineer your bid so you can find out if you're competitive or not. So you'll know what, the government, it's the only place that you can ever go to where you'll be able to find out where your competitor submitted. Let them know what, in the private sector, you'll never you'll never be able to go to somebody else and say, hey, show me what everybody else got in the past so I can give you a better price. You rarely ever get a chance to do that. So
And I think that's why I love government contracting, because, you know, I spent all of this time in sort of supplier diversity on the corporate side. You couldn't get any of this information. This is government contracting is transparent.
it's
Like
very
you can,
transparent.
yeah.
So we're
I just
looking-
want to, oh, sorry, Jose.
Go ahead, Ian.
No, I just want to emphasize that you must complete the contract submission. It must be complete, because you can be disqualified if it's not a complete contract, a complete submission proposal. So just want to emphasize that to make sure you've got everything, your ducks in a row, your I's and T's crossed. I mean, make everything so that you will be considered and you won't be disqualified. Just want to emphasize that.
Yes, and
Thank
next month, and we are going to go into some detail about being compliant.
Okay, good.
Sure you follow those instructions. The entity, if you can't follow instructions, they're probably going to be very concerned that you would follow instructions after you win the thing. So yeah, you don't want to be in that special pile where they didn't follow the instructions, we're just not even going to review it, or it's not compliant.
And going back to what Susan, Jose, and Ann touched on, be familiar with Bonfire now. Don't wait until a week before a bid's due and you're fumbling around and trying to figure out where the buttons are to click and what to push and how to upload something, because that's when mistakes are made, right? And more than 50% of all proposals or bids submitted are non-compliant. So all of that work, all of that hard effort is for naught if you forget to upload a form, if you forget to sign a form, if you don't complete an entire section. And so we don't want to see that happen to anyone. If we could have y'all put in the chat, maybe something that you've learned today that you can go ahead and implement next week, or something that you're going to do either in Q3 or Q4, or maybe one of your action items from next year. So we ask for you to do that. So that might trigger another idea that somebody else didn't think about, or go, oh yeah, you know what, maybe that's next week, or maybe next month, that is achievable, that I can do. Emily's going to put the session survey in the chat one last time as we conclude. So please make sure to complete the survey. Let us know other things that you want us to talk about, that you want Precinct 2 to cover. We've got the entire team here of Precinct 2 on the chat with you, here to support you, to make sure that you're successful. I think we've said this like 5, maybe 6 times, but schedule that meet the buyer. That is the start of your relationship with Precinct 2, but don't schedule your meet the buyer until you've registered on Bonfire, right? And you reviewed the buyer questionnaire and you're ready for that meeting.
As well as not only register on Bonfire, but go through and make sure there is not an opportunity
Good point.
that even has your NIGP code in it. You know, that way you're not stepping into that cone of silence where you cannot have that conversation yet. So it shows that you've done your due diligence. You know there is not an open bid, and maybe look at the past bid. Let's find out whether that bid was bid last year. So again, you've done your due diligence, you're having that meet the buyer, you're maybe talking about this. I know this was bid last year, but then what are my next steps?
And connect with Precinct 2, and Frances has her hand raised. So very patient, very patient.
Very patient here. Yes, thank you. This is Frances again. I'm your vendor outreach specialist. What I want to touch on real quick is that we do have a business together newsletter, digital newsletter that we go send out once a month. And so if I may, I want to add the link so that the vendors can go ahead and sign up if you want to register to that, and that you can get it in your email as well.
Perfect. And we're going to upload in the post session the newsletter that we went over with the slides today, as well as the most recent one. So Frances, if you want to send us over the most recent one, we can go ahead and include that, or however many you want us to include. We'll do that as well. Perfect. And there's all of Precinct 2's social media. So make sure to do that. Sign up for the newsletter as well. And we're going to be back on September 15th. So we're going to go through in granular detail the different sections of the RFPs, RFQs, and ITBs. We went over what those are, but we're going to really dig down in and what do you need to do and prepare so that when those opportunities come up, you can respond. Also, Fort Bend Independent School District has some workshops as well.
So during that next month's session, not only we're going to go through what you need, we're going to show you some samples.
That's right, some winning samples. So you've got an idea of what that looks like and how you can customize your information from those samples. All right, we want your feedback, so go ahead and fill that out. And this is our contact information. Emily's going to drop it in the chat one last time. And we look forward to seeing y'all on social media. We look forward to seeing you next month at the September, and with you on social media with Precinct 2. Any closing thoughts or comments, Jose and or Francis?
Just good luck. You know, we're here to help. Let us know how we can. Feel free to shoot us an email, and please visit our website and sign up for a one-on-one meeting with our vendor outreach specialist. And looking forward to seeing you guys next month. Please spread the word and share this with the rest of your friends. There are other vendors. This is something that you can learn to do. It's not just for Precinct 2. It's doing business with the county, and in general, it extends to almost every other county and city. We all use pretty much the same process. Okay.
Well, take care. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see everyone soon.